One of the ways that we can create GIS data is by drawing a graphic on our map and then converting it to a feature. I like this method as a way of creating quick data when you just need one or two features for a map. And the example or the scenario that I'm going to use for this, let's say that here on I-78 there was a chemical spill, and you need to evacuate everything within 5 miles of that chemical spill. The first thing that you're going to need is a point location for where that spill occurred. And what we would normally do to create new GIS data is to create a new shapefile, which would begin in our catalog. But a way to make this quicker so that you don't have to go through the fuss of that is just by simply drawing a point on the map and converting it to a feature. And the way that we do that is by turning on our draw toolbar. If you don't have your draw toolbar on, you just right click in an empty gray area and turn it on. And one of the tools that we have here is a tool that allows us to draw point lines and polygons. So I'm going to grab that marker tool, and this is going to allow me to draw a point on the map where that spill occurred. So let's just say, I'm just going to pick a random location here, that the spill occurred right here. So I have a point there, but notice the point does not show up in my table of contents, so it's not a feature, it's just a graphic. Now, what we need to know how to do is we need to buffer that 5 miles because everybody has to be evacuated within 5 miles, but we can't buffer it if it's not a feature in our table of contents. So the way that we convert that to a feature is simply by going back to our drawing toolbar and then go to Convert Graphics to Features. Here, it will ask you what you want to convert. I'm doing selected graphics, and you can have more than one. Like you can have, dozens of these. As long as they're selected, they'll be converted. And then it's asking you what coordinate system to use. I'm going to just use the same as the data frame. And then it's going to ask you what you want to call it. And this is where data management and file naming becomes very important. You can't just call it converted graphics because you're never going to remember what that actually means like 2 weeks down the line. So you want to name it appropriately. So I'm going to call it chemical spill. And then hit OK. And then I can also, before I hit OK, you can automatically delete the graphic after conversion, which is a good idea because there's no reason you really need it after this, that you just have to go in and manually delete it. So it's better just to do it here. If I hit OK, it will then convert it, and then it will ask me if I want to add it to the map as a layer. Once I hit yes, it's going to add it over here, and then you're going to see that this is no longer selected because that selected graphic is being deleted. You just see the feature there. So notice that it's in here, and now it's a feature on the map. Now, because it's a feature in my table of contents, I can then go to my geoprocessing tool and buffer it 5 miles. And we're going to learn how to do buffering in a later course, but just to give you a sneak preview, I would put to buffer the chemical spill. I would make sure I name it appropriately. And I'm going to call it spill 5 miles so that I know it's a 5 mile radius. You put in your buffer amount here, and then you just hit OK. And as the tool is running, this little globe turns down here, letting you know that it's thinking about it. And some of these tools take longer than others depending on what you're asking it to do. Voila, we have our buffer. Now I'm going to, makes it look like the whole map is just that yellow color. I'm going to zoom to layer so that it zooms it out to the buffer. And obviously this is not a very useful map because we can't see anything that's within the buffer, so I would hollow that out so I can see everything that's inside of that potential evacuation zone. So again, this is how just drawing a point on the map or a graphic on the map, you can convert it to a feature that's in your table of contents.